Yo, this video is about the Mount Rushmore streamers. And I don't really watch streamers that much. I ain't got the time. And I did pop into High and Speed stream a couple months ago. It was very weird. I think they were playing Mario, and I think last year there was another one that was even more strange. I mean, I guess they're friends, but for me, as a grown person, it just seemed a bit odd. I'm watching two guys play computer games together, like maybe 24/7. They will eat, sleep together. I mean, literally sleep together, shower together. You know, it was really weird. I mean, like, I've had friends, and I haven't really slept in the same bed as my friends like that. And then had to have about 50,000 people, or maybe over 50,000, because I was watching on YouTube. Over 100,000 people watch me sleeping with my friend, and then wake up and we play computer games together. It's a whole new narrative of weirdness that's going on. I mean, props to them. They're making money. They're getting donations, sleeping and playing games. Something they would otherwise be doing. Maybe not sleeping together in the same bed, but whatever. It is what it is. But as for like the Mount Rushmore streamers, I noticed like 2020, a lot of these streamers popping up. I remember Kai was popping up and they were saying that he was gaming the system. It's like, how is he getting so many subs? And this was kind of new. No one knew who he was and how big he was going to be. So they thought he was up to something. All I saw was a bunch of dudes in the room hanging about. So Aiden, he kind of like was pushing it as the new thing as well, where he had like 6ix9ine popping over, and I was like, this is something different. People have been streaming and streaming games, no doubt, for years, but this new type of like hanging around with a bunch of dudes and doing tasks and stuff like that was new to me. I was like, okay, people watching this, but with everything, you got a bunch of people pushing the narrative down the line. This is the next big thing, and it becomes the next big thing as long as you keep trying to make new ways of inventing it into making it big. But there's also around it where there's a kind of skepticism about if it's authentic, because we know for a fact now that Twitch has allowed people to use bots. I mean, even someone like Ray J, he's like, yeah, I use bots. So the narrative is that people it's kind of like hip hop, where you fake it till you make it. So you use the bots to boost your numbers in your stream to make you seem bigger than you are, and then eventually, with enough hard work, you get to be that big person. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking these people were big, but they boost the numbers to make them look bigger. And once they look bigger, more people, more eyeballs on them, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy's okay. This guy's entertaining. And then it works. I said, that's where I'm going. I could be wrong. Got someone like Neon, he has been known to use bots because there's not really much chit chatter in his chat. It's just he just pops on, and if someone who looks like a damn geek that you might beat up in school, okay, is that entertaining, goes around sniffing people's chairs, by all means, he gets like maybe 50 or 100,000 in the first couple of minutes. It makes as much sense as anything. Whenever I go into a stream, I look at the chat and I always see if there's actually real people in there, any interaction, any conversations with other people in the chat. I watch certain streams, and when I'm talking in the stream, in the chat, people are interacting with me, and they actually have real YouTube channels that actually are being uploaded to, and they've uploaded videos on their YouTube channel. So those are real people. But sometimes you see some people on like Neon's stream, and then you interact with them, they seem like bots. Maybe it's just me, or maybe I'm a hater. But yeah, As for like Kai, this is what the CEO of Twitch said.
You're streaming right now on Twitch.
Is that a serious question?
Really?
Is that a serious
No, give it back.
question?
You know, in other words, Kai is big now, but you know, arguably it's like, now he asked me, so I had to put him on there. But arguably it's like, look, you're great, but you can't be on the Mount Rushmore yet.
See, I put it should be Speed, Kai, Queso.
Right.
When like no, there's like so.
Well, initially when I was doing it, because of course part of it is you just don't remember people. And initially I mentioned Speed, and then I was like, oh no, and I swapped Speed out for Queso.
Yeah.
Okay. But of course all the idiots on.
You know how much fucking money you know how much money you done made, Uncle Dan.
Yeah.
Uncle Dan.
Look at me.
Come now.
Actually, I want to say to Kai what I can say.
Okay, so in his face, he said, "Yeah, he's the greatest right now." I mean, I'm gonna put this in perspective. Yeah, he's got a good point. I don't think he was trolling. At first, I thought he was trolling everyone, but being on Mount Rushmore is a bit of a statement. But you remember Ninja? He was like big at the time. No one ever talks about him that much. I think I saw like a puff piece about Ninja, how people in his chat saying, "You're not as big as you used to be." I mean, everybody has a time, and everybody has an audience, and what happens is that audience grows up. So Ninja is not as big as he used to be, and Fortnite still exists, but it's not as big as it used to be when he was playing Fortnite. I'm not saying he's gone downhill. It's just his audience may have just grown past him or grown up beyond him. And so someone like Speed and Kai, it's going to be a very, not strange, but a very good couple of years to see how he will maintain his audience and evolve to keep his audience, because he's got a certain demographic and he needs to keep them in line and in check and keep them entertained, or they will phase out of him. Or what's the worst thing that can happen is that, well, not worse, but someone just like him will be coming up underneath him, blowing up, and they'll be just as entertaining, and then his audience will phase out, and then because he's the new young guy, the young people will go to that guy unless he collaborates with them, which I know he probably might do. Unless he's a hater, he'd be like, well, this young new dude came up taking my audience, I'm gonna take him down. I don't think Kai's gonna think like that at all, but you know, that could happen. That has happened, you know, like people's audience just move on. They just grow up and move on. They're just like, I'm not really watching him anymore. I've got a job to do. I'm an old person. So he needs to keep a certain demographic of audience, but then it's going to be hard because for him to do that, he's going to grow up as a person. So some of the things he's been doing now, as he grows up, it's going to look really awkward, him doing them. You know, like, there's only so much you can watch a grown man play hide and seek and do all these weird things on the internet. I mean, what he's doing is not too bad. It's not, he ain't doing anything really horrible. But, you know, you need to mature as a person, and you think to yourself like, man, I'm getting too old for this. You know, there's a point where I was doing YouTube. I was doing certain things, and I was like, you know something, I can't be doing this anymore, man. I'm getting old. My back's giving in, man. I can't do this. And that's what's happening with Kai. He's gonna be like, yeah. I mean, some people, the money's so good on YouTube now these days, because it's like literally taking over TV. That these people will try and push through the pain and push through the boredom. Because I've seen people who play Fortnite, and you can look in their faces, and you could not Fortnite, Minecraft and Fortnite. You can look in their faces, and you could tell they're sick and tired of playing this goddamn same game every single day. I couldn't wake up and play the same damn game every day for 5 years straight, maybe 10. Man, imagine me locked in a room and they'd be like, you play Minecraft every day. For some people that may be their dream. For me, not being able to play other games and just playing this one singular game, that's a nightmare. I know I sound crazy when I say that, but for real, man. But yeah, like, subscribe. That's me out. Like, subscribe, and I'm out.